In this alternate timeline, Anakin Skywalker does not suffer the injuries on Mustafar and fully embraces the dark side, surpassing all Sith before him. As Darth Vader, he rises to absolute power, reshaping the galaxy with fear and domination. The duel between Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi was fierce and intense. Both warriors were skilled, their lightsabers clashing with blinding speed and power. Anakin's rage and passion pushed him beyond limits he had never reached before. Unlike in the original timeline, Obi-Wan struggled to keep up with Anakin's newfound strength and fury. With each strike, Anakin gained the upper hand, fueled by his determination to prove himself the strongest. In a critical moment, Obi-Wan tried to defend himself against a powerful strike. But Anakin was faster and more aggressive. He disarmed Obi-Wan and knocked him to the ground. Instead of showing mercy, Anakin's anger overwhelmed him. He pressed his lightsaber toward Obi-Wan, ready to deliver the final blow. But Obi-Wan, with a mix of regret and hope, begged Anakin to stop and return to the Jedi way. Anakin, however, saw this as weakness. He refused to listen and, with a swift strike, defeated Obi-Wan without hesitation. Obi-Wan lay on the ground, injured but alive. Anakin stood victorious, feeling a surge of power unlike anything he had ever known. This victory prevented Anakin from falling into the lava pit and suffering the terrible injuries that once left him half-machine. Instead, he remained whole, his body and mind fully intact. This physical wholeness meant Anakin was free to continue mastering the Force and the dark side without any limitations. His connection to the Force grew stronger every day, his skills surpassing those of any Sith or Jedi before him. With Obi-Wan defeated and Palpatine still alive, Anakin now had a choice: remain a loyal apprentice or seize the Sith throne for himself. But the first step was clear: he was no longer the victim of fate. He was a powerful Sith warrior, ready to rewrite the galaxy's destiny. Anakin Skywalker stood in the shadows of the throne room, watching Emperor Palpatine with growing suspicion. He had served the Sith Master faithfully, but a dark thought crept into his mind: what if Palpatine was only using him? The Chancellor's promises of power and control had been tempting, but Anakin sensed a hidden agenda. Palpatine's eyes gleamed with ambition, yet there was no room for another powerful Sith. Anakin knew the rule of two: there could only be two Sith at a time, a master and an apprentice. But he also knew that Palpatine feared Anakin's rising strength. The Jedi had been nearly destroyed, and now the galaxy awaited Palpatine's final grip. But Anakin did not want to be a tool or a shadow anymore. He wanted to be the master. One night, as the dark side energies pulsed through Coruscant, Anakin confronted Palpatine. Their conversation was tense, filled with veiled threats and careful words. Palpatine tried to manipulate Anakin, reminding him of their shared goal: order through power. But Anakin's heart had changed. He saw through the deception and plotted his own path. In a swift, unexpected strike, Anakin attacked Palpatine, his lightsaber cutting through the air. The battle was fierce and fast. Palpatine's mastery of the dark side was strong, but Anakin's will was stronger. With a final blow, Anakin defeated the Sith Lord, ending his reign. He stood alone, the new Dark Lord of the Sith. Without Palpatine's guidance, Anakin felt free yet burdened. He now carried the full weight of the Sith legacy on his shoulders. The galaxy trembled before him. His power was unmatched, but so was the danger of his growing ambition. No longer the apprentice, Anakin vowed to reshape the galaxy his way, a ruler without equal or rival. The dark future had only just begun. Anakin Skywalker stood alone in the vast halls of the Sith fortress, feeling the weight of his new power settle around him like a dark cloak. He had shattered the old rules and now looked beyond the rule of two. The Sith had always been bound by tradition, only a master and an apprentice. But Anakin saw that tradition as a chain that limited true power. He declared himself the one true Dark Lord, the ruler not just of the Sith, but of the entire galaxy. To build his new empire, Anakin summoned all the Sith who still lurked in the shadows. He forced them to swear allegiance to him alone. Some resisted, but none could match his strength or will. He crushed any opposition without mercy. Anakin's vision was clear, a Sith order where he was the absolute master, and no one could challenge his rule. He believed this would make the Sith stronger, united under his singular command. This was the birth of the Rule of One. His followers became his instruments of power, spreading fear and obedience throughout the stars. The Jedi had been almost wiped out, but Anakin wanted total control, not just over his enemies, but over every Force-sensitive being in the galaxy. He trained some Sith personally, ensuring their loyalty was absolute. Others were destroyed if they even hinted at betrayal. With his rule established, Anakin's influence grew beyond politics and war. He began to rewrite Sith teachings to fit his vision, teaching domination through unity rather than the selfish ambition that had once divided the Sith. The galaxy fell under his shadow. Planets bent their knees, and resistance was crushed swiftly and brutally. The Sith Order was no longer a secret society. It was a vast empire, built on fear, power, and the unstoppable will of Anakin Skywalker. He was no longer just a Sith apprentice or even a Sith Lord. He was the embodiment of the dark side itself. And nothing would stand in his way. Anakin Skywalker's heart was torn when he thought of Padme Amidala. In the old timeline, her death had shattered him and pushed him deeper into darkness. But now, things were different. Anakin used ancient Sith rituals and dark side alchemy to keep her alive. Her body was weak, but her mind was clear. She was trapped between life and death, bound to Anakin's power. Padme became more than a queen, she was a symbol of his strength and his curse. She could not leave him, but she also did not fully belong to him anymore. Sometimes, Padme's spirit resisted the dark side's grip. She pleaded with Anakin to turn back to the light, reminding him of the man he once was. But Anakin's ambition and pain drowned out her voice. He saw her as a prize and a source of power, not as the woman he loved. Their relationship became a twisted dance of love and control. Padme's presence kept Anakin's humanity alive, but it also deepened his torment. In the shadow of his empire, she was both his weakness and his strength. Some nights, he would sit beside her, silently wishing things could have been different. But the dark side held him firmly. Padme's fate was a reminder of the price of power. She was no longer the hopeful senator from Naboo. She was the Sith Empress, a living symbol of Anakin's dark reign. Her influence extended across the galaxy, as Anakin used her name to inspire fear and loyalty. The people whispered of the tragic queen bound by dark magic, ruling beside a godlike Sith Lord. In his quest for ultimate power, Anakin had lost what mattered most, freedom for both himself and the woman he loved. Yet, he refused to let go. Padme's fate was sealed by his choices. And as the Empire grew darker, so did the shadow that loomed over them both. Anakin Skywalker stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring out at the stars. The Jedi Order was nearly destroyed, but a few brave souls still hid in the shadows. He would not allow any of them to rise again and challenge his rule. Anakin personally led the hunt for the remaining Jedi. He traveled across the galaxy, seeking out the last defenders of the light. Every encounter was fierce, filled with desperate battles and fierce lightsaber duels. Anakin's power was unmatched, and the Jedi were no match for his strength and fury. One by one, he tracked down their hideouts, cutting down those who dared to resist. His reputation grew, and fear spread among those who still believed in the Jedi way. Even the legendary Yoda became a target, hunted relentlessly by Anakin's forces. Anakin was determined to erase the Jedi name from history. He saw them not only as enemies but as obstacles to his vision of a perfect Sith Empire. The Jedi who once stood for peace and justice were now hunted like criminals. Some Jedi tried to escape to distant systems, but Anakin's reach was long. He used spies, assassins, and dark side sorcery to find them wherever they hid. With each victory, Anakin's grip on the galaxy tightened. His empire grew stronger, and the light of the Jedi dimmed further. The few who survived became legends whispered in fear and hope. Anakin's purge was relentless and merciless. There was no place for mercy in his quest for total control. The galaxy was his, and no Jedi would be left to challenge him. His dark reign had begun in earnest, with the last flickers of Jedi resistance fading into memory. Anakin Skywalker was the unstoppable force crushing the light. And the Sith Empire ruled without rival. Anakin Skywalker stood on the bridge of his flagship, gazing beyond the familiar stars of the galaxy he once knew. The vast darkness of space held secrets he was determined to uncover. His empire was strong, but Anakin hungered for more, power beyond the known regions. The unknown regions, a mysterious and uncharted expanse, whispered promises of ancient Sith knowledge and weapons of unimaginable force. Anakin believed that to become the most powerful Sith ever, he must explore these hidden realms. He gathered his most loyal commanders and a fleet equipped for deep space exploration. Their mission was clear: to conquer and claim whatever lay beyond the borders of the galaxy. The unknown regions were treacherous as filled with strange phenomena, unknown species, and forgotten ruins. But Anakin's will was unyielding. With each system they discovered, his power grew. Ancient Sith temples buried beneath alien worlds held relics pulsing with dark energy. Anakin used the Force to unlock their secrets, absorbing knowledge that amplified his abilities beyond any Sith before him. He encountered dangers, fierce creatures and rival warlords, but none could stand against his might. The Sith Empire expanded, swallowing entire star systems in the farthest reaches of space. Anakin's influence stretched further than any ruler in history. The unknown regions were no longer a mystery but a realm of Sith domination. His quest for power was insatiable, but the dark side answered his call. Anakin felt himself becoming more than a Sith Lord. He was a force of nature, bending the galaxy to his will. Every new conquest brought him closer to immortality and godlike power. His enemies trembled at the mere mention of his name. The galaxy's borders had vanished, replaced by the endless reach of Darth Vader's empire. In the depths of space, Anakin had found his true strength, a power that would shape the fate of the universe forever. Would you like me to expand the next point? Anakin Skywalker felt the dark side of the Force coursing through him like never before. His power had grown beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. He no longer thought of himself as just a Sith Lord. Anakin was becoming something more, a being of almost unlimited strength. His connection to the Force was so strong that he could bend reality itself. He could sense the thoughts and fears of those around him without them speaking. Anakin learned to manipulate the Force in ways that seemed like magic to others. He could move objects without touching them, create powerful illusions, and even control the minds of his enemies. More incredible was his ability to reach beyond death. Anakin discovered ways to resurrect those he cared for, bringing them back from the brink. But this power came at a terrible cost. The dark side twisted his body and soul, making him less human and more like a Force god. His eyes glowed with a terrible light, and his presence alone could cause fear and despair. Anakin's strength made him nearly invincible in battle. No opponent could stand against him for long. His lightsaber strikes were faster and deadlier than ever. He could deflect blaster fire with ease and crush entire armies with a wave of his hand. This godlike power made Anakin both revered and feared. Some whispered that he had become the embodiment of the dark side itself. Yet even with all his strength, Anakin struggled with the emptiness inside him. His power isolated him, making it impossible to trust anyone. He ruled the galaxy not just with fear, but with an overwhelming presence that seemed unstoppable. Anakin Skywalker had become more than a Sith. He was a force beyond mortal limits, feared and worshipped by all. And with each passing day, his power grew, shaping the fate of the universe forever.